let's jump right into this explainer. I want you to start by picturing your absolute favorite food. Got it in your mind? Is your mouth kind of starting to water just thinking about it? Well, that watering is literally the very first step of an incredible biological process. Today, we are going to trace the epic journey of a single bite of food. We're taking an inner space adventure through the human digestive system, following that bite all the way from your mouth until the exact second it becomes the usable energy that powers your life.
Here is the quick roadmap for our trip. We've got 1. The journey begins. 2. Down the food pipe. 3. The stomach's acidic churn. 4. The long small intestine. 5. Converting food into energy. And 6. A digestive system summary.
All right, part 1. The journey begins.
So our adventure actually kicks off the second food hits your mouth. Your teeth immediately get to work, crushing and chewing everything into smaller pieces, a process called mechanical digestion. But it's not just physical work happening in there. Have you ever taken a small piece of a chapati or a bite of plain boiled rice and just chewed it continuously for maybe 30 to 60 seconds? At first, it tastes completely normal, but as you keep chewing, have you ever noticed it actually starts to taste sweet? The science behind why that happens is absolutely fascinating. The secret to that sweetness is your saliva. You see, foods like chapati and rice are packed with starch, which is a complex carbohydrate. And your saliva isn't just water. It contains a powerful digestive juice that actively breaks down that complex starch into simpler sugars right there in your mouth. So the key takeaway here is that this chemical breakdown into sugar is exactly why starchy foods turn sweet the longer you chew them. Plus, of course, the saliva moistens the food so it's soft and easy to swallow. And since the mouth is the literal gateway to this entire system, protecting it is essential. You gotta maintain good oral hygiene to prevent tooth decay and bad breath. So, the drill. Brush your teeth twice a day, clean your tongue every single day, and try to make a habit of rinsing your mouth with water after each meal. Moving on to part 2, down the food pipe. Once that food is thoroughly chewed and softened up, your tongue pushes it backward to continue the ride. It enters the alimentary canal. Think of this as one massive, continuous tube running all the way from your mouth down to your anus. And the very first leg of this internal tunnel is the food pipe, which is also known as the esophagus. Now, you might think the food just sort of falls down into your stomach thanks to gravity, right? Actually, no. The walls of the food pipe are actively working. They gently contract and relax in this continuous wave-like motion. That muscular movement is what actively pushes the softened food down. And fun fact, that wave-like motion actually happens throughout the entire alimentary canal to keep traffic moving forward.
Step 3. The stomach's acidic churn.
Okay, if you're a student watching this right now, definitely perk your ears up and take notes, because the stomach is a huge priority for science exams. When food arrives in the stomach, it hits these incredibly thick muscular walls. These walls vigorously contract and relax, basically violently churning the food into a semi-liquid mush. And while it's churning, the food is getting mixed with some really vital secretions from the stomach's inner lining. There are 3 specific secretions you absolutely need to know. First up, digestive juice, which specifically targets and breaks down the proteins in your food. Second, acid. The acid helps break down those proteins, but it also acts like an internal security guard, killing harmful bacteria that might have hitchhiked in with your meal. And third, mucus. Because the stomach is full of that harsh acid, the mucus coats and protects the entire stomach lining so it doesn't digest itself. And here is a wild, slightly bizarre historical fact for you. How do we know exactly what happens in there? Well, back in 1822, a man named Alexis St. Martin was accidentally shot in the stomach. He was treated by a Dr. William Beaumont, but the wound never totally healed. It left a permanent, literal window right into his stomach. Dr. Beaumont actually used this incredible opportunity to conduct experiments and watch human digestion happening live. Crazy, right?
Let's look at part 4. The long, small intestine.
Thankfully, we don't need a window to know what happens next. The journey takes us from the stomach right into the small intestine. And again, exam takers, pay close attention because this is another highly tested topic. This is where the absolute most critical phase of nutrient extraction happens. Guess how long this thing is? It is a mind-blowing 6 meters long. Even though it's called small, it is actually the longest part of the entire alimentary canal. That's almost twice the height of a typical classroom, all neatly coiled up inside your abdomen. Now, this massive 6-meter tube gets some serious chemical help from 3 different sources. The inner lining of the small intestine itself secretes juices, then the pancreas jumps in, delivering even more secretions, and crucially, there's the liver, which secretes something called bile. Bile is a total game changer. It's mildly basic, meaning it neutralizes that really strong stomach acid coming in with the food. Plus, bile breaks down fats into tiny droplets so they can be easily digested. Once the food is fully digested into its absolute simplest forms, it has to get out of the tube and into your body. This is called absorption. The thin inner lining of the small intestine is covered in thousands of tiny, finger-like projections. These projections massively increase the surface area, acting like thousands of microscopic sponges. They catch the digested nutrients and pass them directly into the tiny blood vessels hidden inside them. From there, your blood carries these life-sustaining nutrients all over your body. Which brings us to part 5, converting food into energy. Having nutrients floating around in your blood is great, but it isn't the final step. How do these nutrients actually give you the power to walk, run, play, and think? The answer is a process called respiration. Now, people often confuse respiration with the simple physical act of breathing, but they are totally different. Breathing is just bringing oxygen in and pushing carbon dioxide out. Respiration is the internal chemical process happening inside your body that uses that oxygen to convert your digested food into actual usable energy.
Here is the basic equation for how that teamwork happens. The simple sugar, glucose, which you absorbed from your digestive food, combines with the oxygen you inhaled. When they react, they produce carbon dioxide and water as waste products, but most importantly, they release energy. Without the oxygen from breathing, the food you eat couldn't be unlocked to give you power. They are a perfect vital team. And finally, part 6, the digestive system summary.
We have covered a ton of ground today, from that very first bite all the way to cellular energy. Let's wrap up by quickly reviewing the whole journey, organ by organ. It all starts in the mouth with mechanical chewing and saliva chemically breaking down starch. The esophagus then actively pushes the food down. The stomach violently turns it up while secreting acid, juices, and mucus. The massive small intestine completes digestion with the help of bile and absorbs the nutrients into your blood. And finally, whatever undigested food is left over moves into the large intestine, whose main job is to absorb most of the remaining water before the waste is eliminated. It truly is a remarkable, highly coordinated biological machine. So the next time you sit down and take a bite of your absolute favorite food, are you going to pause to appreciate the amazing inner space adventure that is just kicking off inside you? I really hope so. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning and keep asking questions.